Hey everyone, Danny Maude here, head professional at the Canterbury Golf Club in Kent. And in this week's training, I'm going to show you how to play one of those buried lies. The lies you know when you've just missed the green and the ball is nestled down in the rough a little bit. But this is an added dimension. We don't just need to get the ball up onto the green, we need to get it up in the air a little bit and landing softly when it lands on the green. Now, this is a pretty tricky shot. When most people try and play this shot, they kind of either fluff it and leave it in front of their face, or when they do strike it, the ball tends to land on the green and roll too far. Now, if this is you and you want that ball to land, go a little bit higher, so then land softly on the green, then this week's training is going to be really helpful. So let's get started. So there's a few things that we need to do in terms of the setup in order to play this shot. The first thing we need to do is we're almost going to set up to play it like a bunker shot. Now, if you've seen any of my bunker videos, those videos will really complement this one, so please go and have a look at them. But just for now, I'm going to give you a summary of how we go about the first stages of playing this shot. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to understand the type of impact that's required on a shot like this. Well, the first thing we're going to do is, when we're actually striking this golf ball, okay, unlike a normal chip shot where we actually aim to strike the golf ball first, when the ball's nestled in the rough and is buried in almost like a fried egg position, what we're going to do is we're actually going to look to strike the ball, strike the ground just behind the ball, similar to a bunker shot. And what we're really doing here is we're getting almost a deflective strike where the club's attacking into the ground about an inch behind the ball. The club comes in, bounces below the surface of the ball and pops up in the air. The other thing here that's required is we're going to, there's a couple of steps. The first thing we're going to do before we actually go and start swinging the shot is we're going to make a couple of alterations actually in the setup. So we're going to push the ball nice and forward in our stance, so it's almost off the left heel as we'd have a driver. And then the reason why we do that is to push it out of the way, because we don't really want to hit the golf ball. Following this, what we're going to do is we're going to open the club face probably about 20 or 30 degrees, okay? Then we're going to grip it, okay? Now, a lot of people when they first try this, they tend to do this. They tend to open the face, i.e. point it to the right, but they do it without changing their grip. So you can see how I'm moving my hands. What we're going to do first, we're going to turn the club slightly to the right, then we're going to grip it. Okay, now from this position here, when you set up, okay, the club will be pointing slightly to the right of target. That's okay. I mean, you could aim a little bit left if you want to compensate. So we've done two things so far. We've moved the ball forward in our stance, so it's off the left heel. We've twizzled the club face a little bit open to the right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make a reasonably committed swing back and through the shot, aiming behind the ball. Okay, so we're actually going to be going about an inch behind the ball. We're not trying to strike the ball in this situation, and we're going to commit through the shot. And what happens is the club slides under the golf ball and the ball starts to pop up. Now, looks pretty simple, and it kind of really is. It can make such a difficult looking shot when the ball's buried. It can look really impressive, because actually, as long as you commit fully to the shot, the ball is more likely to pop up. The biggest problem I find when people are playing this shot is when the ball's buried like this, they don't like to take a full swing. Okay, they don't like to take a big confident swing because they think the ball's going to go too far. So the reason why we do it in this situation is unlike a normal chip shot, we're actually striking the ground rather than the golf ball. So therefore it's more of a deflective strike. So therefore you can actually strike nice and full, and actually, look at this here, the ball's not going to go very far. So let's just summarize this shot. So the way you're going to play this lob shot is you're going to make two or three, it's lob shot out of rough where the ball's nestled down a little bit, okay? So we bury it in the ground a little bit here. The way you're going to play this shot is you're going to make a couple of alterations in your setup. You're going to push the ball forward in your stance, it's opposite of your left heel. You're going to twizzle the club face a little bit so it's pointing to the right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make a conscious effort to strike behind the golf ball as we're coming through and commit fully to the shot. Common factors to look out for when you're doing this. Again, a lot of people here would decelerate into the back of the golf ball and kind of stop. And as you've seen, if you've seen some of my other chipping videos, what actually happens when our bodies stop here, The club continues and we end up thinning the golf ball because the angle starts to come upwards. So can we hit with this bit of the golf club? So the key point here is that when we're swinging, we need to commit. I'll do it as slow as I can. I'm going to turn through the shot, just like any other shot, but strike the ground behind as I'm coming through, as opposed to striking the ball. And in this way, the ball won't go too far because we're not actually striking the ball first, we're striking the ground first, as the deflected strike ensures that the ball doesn't travel very far. Common problems with this particular shot, what I see, similar to a standard chip shot. People often hear, they think, oh, I need to get the ball up in the air. So what they're doing is they try to lift it up, so they tend to get the body leaning back and start and almost getting this what I call flicking action, okay? Now, when we do that, shots you'll see are those balls that are thin, they're very low to the ground, they fly too fast, they fly over the back of the green. And the reason being is we're not getting, what we said right at the start of this session, the right impact conditions. The club has to come down into the grass behind the ball, and the opportunity where it's down, it's got to come down. We don't want the club coming up at all. If the club comes up, we're not going to go beneath the surface. We're going to end up going to thin the golf ball here with this bit of the golf club, and the ball's going to go too low. So we need to get the club coming down into the back of that golf ball. So look at what I'm going to do to achieve that. When I'm coming through, I therefore need to have that commitment coming down and through the shot in order to strike the ground and get that sound of the turf and the ball popping up. If I try to help this on its way, I bury this a little bit here, watch this. Hear that noise? That is a thin, I'm leaning back now, I can't get below the surface. I'm actually going above the golf ball, and this is really, really common. Now you would have seen this in some of my early videos. So in summary, playing this shot, it kind of looks quite difficult when you see the ball buried, but do you know what? When you start doing this, you can make you look pretty impressive, because it's a lot easier than it actually looks once you've got the basic pitching action. I'll repeat that again, you need to have a basic pitching action first to try this, okay? It is slightly more advanced, but the simplicity of it once you've done it is actually amazing. So just to summarize, we're going to push the ball forward in our stance like we would have a bunk shot or even a drive, the ball off the left heel. We're going to set ourselves up, okay, to strike the ground behind the ball with a slightly open face. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make a very simple strike backwards and forwards, so we strike the ground behind the ball so the ball pops up. Like all shots, it's going to take work. Things to watch out for, as we said, if you start to try and help the ball up in the air, the ball will go too low and it'll fly over the back of the green or won't even get any height at all. So bear in mind, if that's happening, the chances are what you're doing is you're leaning back or you're trying to help it with your wrists. Keep that commitment of your body going through the shot and you'll see some lovely results. Okay, let me know how you get on, obviously, in the comments box below, and I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any other questions in the weeks coming forward, give me a shout. Until next week, have a great golfing week.